Beginning in Shavasana, lying on your back. Just allowing your body to drop. Arriving in the here and now. Really arriving in your body. And arriving with each breath. Nothing at all to do here, just be here. It might feel like work to stay present. Breath breathing you. Noting with kind attention, noting or acknowledging anything that's coming up, anything that's kind of bubbling up to the surface of awareness. Whether that is physical or mental or emotional, whether it's gross or subtle. And then continuing to yoke back into the breath. Reconnecting to the breath over and over again. And while our practice is physically focused, for sure, there's always the invitation to come a bit more into your subtle energy. So we find the alignment, we find the shape, and then see if you can, throughout our practice this evening or whenever you're practicing, just tune in a little bit more to your subtle energy, to what it feels like in your body. So muscles for sure, but beyond the muscles or kind of deeper than the muscles. What does it bring up for you? Possibly more subtly, might be emotional, might be spiritual. Just being open to receive and allow for that. And integrate that into your practice. So it's far more than a workout. It could be as simple as noticing how the breath changes when the body changes positions. Okay, so our first shape is a Supta Dandasana. And if you've got your belt, use your belt, or you could use scarf or towel, anything like that. And it doesn't matter if you're using the loop. If you've got your belt in a loop, that's fine. It doesn't have to be. And even if it is, you don't have to use that at this point. So legs are just vertical. We're not doing any kind of big stretch the legs in at this point. There is some hip flexion because the legs are vertical rather than down on the ground. And just holding the belt in a way that the shoulders can be relaxed down on the ground. Focusing on your feet here, the toes are spread. As if you were standing on the ceiling, you might readjust your feet to find that positioning. So for some of us, the toe mounds kind of draw inward and the outer edges of the feet outward, or vice versa. So see if you can just kind of even out the feet. And then we're using the belt not to just pull the legs in, but to create a little bit of resistance. So I really like the belt around the heels or toe mounds. So you can push into the belt and apply a little resistance by tugging on the belt. And this is an active practice. So squeeze the thighs and let's level the pelvis here. So making a little gap between the lower spine and the floor so that the pubic bone and your two hip points in the front of your body are all on the same plane. So this is often referred to as a triangle table. So it does create a small gap between the lower spine and the floor. We're basically maintaining our natural spinal curves. Let's just take a couple more breaths here, breathing into the sides of the torso, breathing into the back, and noticing what you feel. Slight variation here. We're just going to separate the feet so they're about mat width apart. Whoops. I'm still maintaining that even kind of rooting on the ceiling position with your feet, still maintaining your triangle table or your neutral pelvis. For some of you, if your hips, if your thighs are tighter, if your hamstrings are tighter, the legs might not be vertical. They might be, you might move them further away to find that neutral pelvis. So that's okay. So now we have a little bit of pressure outward of the feet into the belt. Okay, and then just release the feet. And if you have a block handy, place your block. We're not going to use it right away, but place the block right up against the outer left hip. Left leg up, and take your belt around the left foot. If you like using your belt in the loop, you can keep the loop and such a size that you can have your foot and your hand in it. Okay, so finding that triangle table, the pubic bone and your ASIS, your two hip points at the front of the body are all on the same plane. So we'll have that gap between the lower spine and the floor, and don't lose that in order to bring the leg in more. So prioritizing neutral pelvis over look how far I can get my leg in. So right leg can be planted, foot planted, or you can straighten the leg on the ground. And we're not doing anything with the block, it's just there for our future self. Focusing on the breath, focusing on sensation. And then opening left leg out to the left. So the thigh is going to run into the block. The block's giving you support, and that's helping to keep that neutral pelvis. If you took the block away, you might kind of tip over to the left side. If you don't have the block or you don't want to use it, just see if you can still maintain neutral pelvis. So we're not letting the right side of the pelvis rise up relative to the left side. You could even slide right leg out to the right, just a few inches. See how that feels. Actively reaching through the legs, squeeze the thighs. Breath is in the foreground of awareness. Knee can be bent. And then carefully bringing the leg back up to center. Try not to rush out of any deep stretches. Really go slow in the transitions when you release out. And we'll go over to the second side. So if you're using the block, it's on the low setting, most likely, could be a medium setting if you need more support, wedged right up against the outer right hip. And you can use your belt around your right foot, stretching the leg up, and then you might have to move the leg further away to find that neutral pelvis. So not allowing the pubic bone to curl up and the lower back to completely ground. There's a little space, maybe straightening left leg. If you straighten the left leg, don't forget about it. Reach through the heel, press the thigh down, and then make it more about your breath here. Opening right leg out to the right. Feel that support of the block, helping to keep the pelvis neutral. So if the block is too far away, it won't do that anymore. It won't help keep the pelvis neutral. So it's kind of wedged right up against there. And you can slide your left leg out to the left just a few inches as a little variation. Notice if the ribs are flaring up toward the ceiling. See if you can bring the front of the rib cage down toward the floor and down toward the waist. Slowly, carefully bringing the leg back up. Now we're gonna use the loop, nothing fancy. So if you don't have a belt with a loop, no big deal. I'm gonna take both feet into the loop or both feet into the belt. And then we're using the tail. Find your triangle table, find that neutral pelvis, slide your hands up the tail to bring your arms overhead. So the arms came up, but the ribs didn't pop up. Okay, so front ribs down and legs are vertical or not even vertical if that means your pelvis is coming out of neutral. So resisting, so we're pulling on the belt and pushing on the belt. Pull with your hands, push with your feet. Starting to open up through the shoulders, through the chest, through the lungs. Breathe into the back ribs here. If you don't have the tail set up with the belt, the arms are reaching overhead without the belt. Okay, and then from here, you can set the belt aside. If you have two blocks, you might use them. They're not critical. I'm coming into Supta Baddha Konasana or reclined cobbler's pose. So soles of the feet together, knees wide, and if you want, support your outer legs with your blocks. And then let's bring the hands to the rib cage. So the fingers in front, the thumbs in back, and just kind of scoop here. So the front of the rib cage draws down toward your waist, and the back of the rib basket lengthens up toward your head, away from your waist. And see if you can just keep that adjustment and release your arms. Breathing into I say sides and back of the ribs because usually we're already breathing into the front body. So more breath into the sides and the back. When you exhale, you can invite the ribs to move in toward the midline and down toward the floor and a little more down towards the pelvis. Notice what you notice. Couple more breaths here. And then let's slide the legs out straight and touch Shavasana. So back where we began for just a few breaths, resting in awareness. Maybe there's already been a couple of shifts that have occurred. And whenever you're ready to move again, you can make your way into the downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Take your time setting up with intention, even if you've been doing down dog for 40 years, and we have the sense of beginner's mind. Really taking care, placing your hands, lengthening your spine, exploring the shape. Now, once you've got your basic shape of down dog, be sure you're pushing the floor away a ton with your hands, dialing the hands outward into the ground, and then lift your heels and really lift from like the pit of your belly. Keep the heels lifted, keep the hips lifted, bend the knees. So knees are bent, but hips are lifted and heels are lifted, and keep pressing the floor away. Head can just hang. Keep lifting your hips, keep lifting your heels, and you could keep knees bent if that's better for you, or press the thighs back. Heels are up, hips are up, and then hips stay up and heels press down. And then just a couple times here, lifting the heels and lowering them down, whether the knees are bent or not. So if you're getting any rounding at all in your back, or if you're feeling a ton of tension in your hamstrings, I would definitely bend the knees. Great, and then take your time here, walk your feet up toward your hands. And bend the knees to rise. Arms can sweep up with the inhale. Bringing hands, palms together at heart center. Inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Arms raised, but ribs don't. We're not doing a back bend here. Exhale, hinge at the hips, fold forward. Feel free to bend your knees. Take a breath in, stretch the chest forward. Head is in line with the sacrum. Plant your hands, step back to plank pose, upper push-up position. Pushing the floor away, screwing the hands into the floor, outward. Glutes are active, legs are engaged. Take a breath in here and then exhale, hips rise up and back, down dog. Again, maybe knees stay bent. A few more times here, just toggling back and forth. Take the whole inhale to come forward to plank. There's a slight softening between the shoulder blades in plank. And exhale, reach through the spine, down dog. Find your own rhythm here, but go slow and move intentionally, like you're moving through honey or water. Gaze is down between the hands or a little bit forward in plank. One more time, ending up in down dog. And then just small little steps forward to bring your feet all the way forward into standing forward bend. Catch the wave of the inhalation to rise all the way up. Urdhva Hastasana, upward hands, just not doing the back bend today, if you normally do. And then exhale, hands to heart center, Samasthitihi, standing with equanimity. Inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, maybe come to tippy fingers or hands to the shins. Stretch the sternum forward. Back skull is in line with the sacrum. Gaze is down. Plant your hands. Walk it back or step back to plank pose. You could lower knees down if you would like to. We're going to go slow, lower, all the way down. Draw the elbows back toward the foot edge of your mat as you lower. Let's keep toes tucked under. It's cobra, but we'll keep toes tucked under for a little variation. So just building it slowly here. Drive through the heels, press the pubic bone down. Draw the abdominals, draw the belly away from the floor. And then without using your hands at all, lift up a little bit. You don't have to lift up a lot. Draw the elbows back toward your feet. If you want to lift a little bit higher, push the hands into the floor as if you could drag them back toward your feet. Release the knees to the ground. Draw the belly in. Push the floor away. And then lift hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take small steps forward to Uttanasana, forward bend. Inhaling to rise, push the floor away with your feet to rise up, all the way up. Exhale, Samasthitihi, standing with equanimity. Inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, send your chest forward, Ardha Uttanasana, lifting about halfway. Plant your hands. Let's step back right to down dog this time. And then we're going to do a little bend and straighten of the elbows in down dog. Let's try to keep the elbows in as you bend them. And then when you straighten the arms, really drive the floor away with your hands. Again, there's that dialing outward action. You can keep that even when you bend your elbows. This isn't easy. And then straighten the arms. One more time. Knees could be bent here. Heels could be up. Bending the elbows and then push the floor away, downward facing dog. Walk the feet up toward the hands. Catch the wave of inhalation to rise all the way up. And exhale to Samasthitihi. Notice what you notice. Feel from the inside out. Okay, we're gonna take a wide-legged forward fold, Prasarita Padottanasana. You might want to have a block or two handy so that we can support the head. So feet are wide. Make sure your feet are in line. If you're not sure about that, you can use the back edge of your mat. And then when you're ready, folding forward, knees could be bent here. We're bringing the head down so the back of the neck is long. So you might have to fiddle with your block setting. We don't want to be looking down with the head crunched. We want to be looking more between the legs, most likely. Legs are active here. Spread your toes, root through the outer edges of your feet. Also root through the inner edges of your feet, but a little bit more through outer edges. Like you could root through your outer ankles, outer knees, outer hips. Drawing upward through the arches of the feet, through the inner ankles, through the inner knees, all the way up through the inner thighs. You can even draw up on the pelvic floor. It's like an in and up action of Mula Bandha or the root seal. Squeezing the thighs. From here, probably lift your head a little bit so you can stretch the arms forward. So I'm not really coming forward to put weight into my hands. I like to tense my fingers. And then really lengthen from your hips to your fingers. The head can hang here. Make sure your hands are shoulder width apart or they could be wider. So you've got nice expansion through the chest. You could ground the hands and kind of push the floor away. So there's that kind of down dog feeling through your arms and shoulders. Try drawing the front ribs away from the floor. If you notice that they're kind of sagging down. Gradually walking your hands back so they're underneath your shoulders. You can bend your knees here, hands to the hips. Take your time rising up and then heel toe, till you're back in Tadasana, mountain pose, at the top of the mat. Inhale, arms reach up. So we're keeping the ribs down to help separate the movement of ribs from hips. Well, from here, it's ribs from shoulders. Yeah, so can we keep the ribs down, but bring the arms up separately? Exhale, hinge at the hips to fold forward. Inhale, stretch your chest forward, lifting about halfway. Plant your hands. You can go straight back to down dog or from plank pose, lowering down slowly all the way. Draw the elbows back. Inhaling to cobra. Toes can be tucked or feet flat. Really squeeze your buttock muscles. And your exhale, push the floor away. So you can go through, push up to down dog. Let's stretch left leg up and back, three-legged dog. Keep the hips level. And then hips stay high. So your foot can clear the floor, bringing left foot between the hands. We're setting up for triangle, Trikonasana, grounding your back foot, maybe placing a block to the outside of the front foot. Hips shift back as you lengthen out over your front leg. Bringing the hand down to the block. Before you find this big rotation, see if you can really activate through the feet and hug the inner thighs toward each other. And then rotating through the ribs. Head is in line with the sacrum. So try not to let the head come forward. That's going to collapse the chest. There's like a leaning back possibility. And then maybe the arm stretches up. If neck feels cranky, then just look down. So you get some nice opposition there, turning the head to look down, but drawing this top shoulder back to open up. Okay, from here, you can turn slowly to face your left leg, bend the knee. We're going to lower the right knee down for a gate pose. So we're coming up here. So right knee is beneath the right hip, and let's straighten out the left leg. I like to put a block underneath my left toe mounds here. You might have your other block handy because it's like a knee down triangle. So let's start by really working this hip extension, engaging your right glute, and then reach up through your right arm. Again, we're trying to create this ability of the body parts to move separately. So not lifting the ribs to lift the arm. The ribs stay down. Sometimes you can even bring your hand there to help. Like, okay, ribs, you stay down. Arm reaches up, 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 up. I mean, the ribs rise up a little bit. They're not popping forward. So rooting and rising, this opposite energy. And then we want to keep this sense of up as we go over. So we don't like switch from up to over. Keep reaching up, up to go over. Up to go over. Maybe your left hand comes down to the block, inside or outside the front leg. See what's going to work for you. And continue to press down through the right knee. Keep squeezing right glute to bring the hips forward. And up and over, up and over. You probably might benefit from kind of bringing the head back a little bit more. Notice if it's kind of ducking forward. So it's not chin up, it's whole head pressing back. Back of the head pressing back. From here, whatever's on the ground, push it away to slowly rise up. And then we'll come back through. Let's grab our block here for down dog. So block between the inner thighs in your downward facing dog. And really squeeze the block. I know it would probably stay there on its own without doing so, but do so anyway. Squeeze, squeeze, inner thighs in. You could almost get the sense of like inner thighs moving back, like you're gonna eject the block back behind you. See how that feels. Front ribs toward the back body. Okay, and then just set the block aside. Here we go, second side. Slowly, like moving through honey or water. Right leg up and back, three-legged dog, hips stay level. And then as you shift forward, really hug the thigh in toward the trunk. place the foot between the hands, setting up for triangle trikonasana. So back toes are turned to point forward more so than inward. You can hug your feet isometrically toward each other to kind of create this containment and this engagement. And then we let the hips rock back, reach out over your left leg. Find the setting on the block that works for you without collapsing through this right side of the torso. And then turning through the ribs. You can kind of lean back a little bit. You could press your head into your hand a little bit. So the chin stays slightly tucked. Is the whole head moving back? Maybe the arms stretching up. Consider looking down, drawing the left shoulder up and back in opposition. Make it more about the breath. Bringing the arm down, bending the front knee. You can kind of pivot to face the front foot in order to lower the back knee down. And then coming to set up for our Parigasana or gate pose. So the right leg is extended out to the right, or whatever your second side is. Sorry, I'm not mirroring. Knee is beneath the hip. You might have your other block handy, just like you would for triangle, inside or outside the front leg. So the first thing we do, well, make sure your knee is happy. Add padding if you need to. And then press down with the knee and squeeze this left glute to help bring the hip forward in extension. Then stretching the arm up, working on getting the arm to move independently of the ribs. If that's tough for you, you can use your hand to help remind the ribs, you're going to stay down, the arm is going to reach up independently. Really working this line of energy, rooting, rising. So the rib can rise up, but they're not popping forward so much. Okay, and then we keep reaching up to go over, rather than up versus over, up to go over. Notice if your head is pitched forward. Bring the whole back skull back. And then carefully rooting, rising, releasing. One more time, let's put the block between the inner thighs and come into downward facing dog. Take your time. Squeeze the block. Draw your belly toward your back. And then if you want, you can keep the block between the thighs and take small steps forward until you're in Uttanasana. So rather than just doing things because I say so, do them to see how they feel in your body. Squeeze the block. Knees can be bent. Okay, and then pop the block out and root through your feet to rise. Take your time all the way up. Exhaling, Samasthiti, standing with equanimity. Okay, you might have your blocks at the top of your mat to take or lead in Parshvottanasana in pyramid pose. And then you might end up using one in revolved triangle for our next vinyasa, our next sequence. Inhale, reach up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, lift and lengthen about halfway, shoulders draw down toward the waist. Plant your hands, step back to plank pose. Knees can come down, elbows draw back. Engage your glutes as you lower all the way down. Keep drawing the elbows back. Hollow the belly away from the floor. Cobra, Bhujangasana. And then keep the belly hollowed, keep the ribs in as you push the floor away through plank to downward facing dog. Hips stay level, intentional movement, right leg high to the sky in three-legged dog. As you shift forward, thigh hugs to trunk, calf hugs to thigh, right foot plants between the hands. Okay, we're going to scoot the back foot in so the heel is down, rising up for Parshvottanasana pyramid pose. Toes are turned in more than they were for triangle, so your hips are both pointing forward. And you can take your left foot more out to the left to be more successful at that alignment. So hands could end up coming down to blocks, or if you want to work opening the chest a bit more, you can hold your elbows, you can join fists, or you could bring hands together in prayer behind your back. Before you fold, drag the front foot back without moving it, and see if you can bring your left hip forward. So engaging the left glute will help that. Then folding. Collarbones moving away from each other so chest stays open. Even if the hands come down to the block, chest stays open. So it'd be better to have one hand on each block, but shoulder width apart, rather than both hands on one block in front of you, so you can keep broadening the chest. Belly lifting up away from the thigh. Feel free to bend your knee. It could have been bent this whole time. We're rising up, keeping this foot position, releasing the arms. 4 revolves triangle. Just reconfirm, recommit to this front foot dragging back. The knee could be a little bit bent. And this left buttock engaged. Stretching up through left arm, left side. Bringing the left side of the rib cage forward, over to the right as you hinge. Stop hinging when the spine is parallel to the floor, and bring your hand down to something. So adjust the block to meet you rather than adjusting your body to accommodate the block. Keep dragging this front foot back, or think about drawing the outer right hip back toward the far edge of your mat. Okay, and then the hips stay still. If you want, you could put a block on your sacrum. So the hips are blocks keeping you honest here, giving you feedback, turning through the ribs, maybe stretching up through the arm. And here too, you could look down. That's going to help with balance, with stability. And with your exhalations, you can continue to rotate through the ribs, through the spine. You could have nose in line with your sternum. See if you can send the back of your head a little bit more back, even maybe leaning the whole torso a little more back toward the left leg. Unwind your spine. Remove the block from the sacrum if it was there. Stepping back to plank pose. Draw the elbows back as you lower. It's like the chest is going forward, elbows back. Come all the way down. Bhujangasana, cobra. So the hands can be this dialing outward action and dragging back. They're not moving, but that's intention. And then keep drawing the elbows back. Lift the belly, lift the ribs away from the floor to push up and back, downward facing dog. Take the whole length of the inhalation to bring the left leg up and back to three-legged dog. Don't whip it or swing it. And then exhale, control the movement to place your foot between your hands. We scoot the back foot in a little to ground the heel and rise up. Toes are turned in more than they were for triangle, and you can step your foot more out to the right in order to have both hip points pointing forward. Dragging this front foot back and engaging your right glute. Okay, find that arm position you found before, or arms can stretch up in preparation for going to the blocks. And then take your time here. It's not point A to point B. It's the whole transition along the way that's just as important. Breathing and feeling. Belly lifting up away from the thigh. Even if the thigh belly could rest on the thigh, try drawing the belly toward the back. Not to round the lower back, but more to engage your abdominals. And then maybe bending the left knee if it isn't already bent to help you rise up with control. Check in again that the hips are scissoring. The back glute is engaged. Stretching up through the right arm. And then the right side of the rib cage is coming forward. So we're starting to twist as we fold. Bringing the right hand down to your block. Could be inside or outside the left foot. So we're stopping our hinge when the spine is parallel to the floor. Maybe getting some feedback on your hips by placing your block on the sacrum. And then hips aren't moving, the rotation's coming from your spine. So we rotate the spine, then we extend the arm. It'll be nicer for the shoulder that way. Draw the right shoulder blade down away from the ear. Maybe gaze is down or nose is in line with sternum. Really embodying the shape. Take your time unwinding your spine. Take your block off your sacrum. Step back to plank. Don't mind me, I keep turning around so I can see you all. And you can see me from plank pose. Elbows back as you lower down. Feel free to put the knees down first to maintain better alignment. Inhaling to Cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale back, downward facing dog. From down dog, slow and intentional, right leg up and back, three-legged dog, hips staying level. Shift forward, right foot plants between the hands. For side angle, Parshva. So you can ground the back foot just like you did for triangle. The toe is pretty much pointing toward the long edge of your mat. And place your block to the outside of your front foot. Stride doesn't have to be super long like this. Stride can be shorter. And let's hug the feet in toward each other. Hug the inner thighs in toward each other. Then bend the knee. Keep that action, that hugging in action. So you can bring your forearm to your thigh with your palm up. If you like, you can bring your hand down to a block. We're opening up. Stretching the arm up toward the ceiling. Here's where I notice my ribs often flare forward. So bringing the ribs toward the back. Maybe taking the arm alongside the ear. Keep hugging the feet in toward each other, hugging the inner thighs toward each other. Pivoting to frame your front foot. Step back to plank. Elbows draw back as you lower down. Inhale to Cobra, Bhujangasana. Exhale intentionally to downward facing dog. Slow intentional movement, left leg into three-legged dog. Carefully shifting forward, placing the foot between the hands, spinning the back heel down, rising up. Parshva side angle. Hug your feet in toward each other. Hug your inner thighs in toward each other. Notice how that changes your experience. Keeping that, bend the knee. You can have forearm on the thigh with the palm up. Arm stretching up. Pressing the back head back a little bit probably with the chin tucked down. Maybe bringing the hand down. Maybe bringing the arm alongside the ear. Slow, steady breath. Okay, pivoting to face the front foot. One last time, we'll step back to plank. Make sure your glutes are engaged. That'll help make the pose easier as you lower down. Not just easier, but more integrated. Inhaling to Cobra. And exhale to downward facing dog. Okay, let's push the floor away and walk the hands back. to Uttanasana. And then grab both your blocks and separate your feet shoulder width apart, so wider than hip width. Knees can be bent here if you want. And see if you can set up your blocks in such a way to support your head. Back of the neck is long. Relax the jaw. You can take your arms out wide, kind of out in front of you. Maybe tent your fingers. There's a little gathering of the shoulder blades to a little bit of retraction, little shoulder blade towards spine action. Long, slow breaths. Kind of settling energy, bringing energy downward, a little more inward. Okay, and then from here, take your time coming down to sit. Let's sit with wide legs, sitting up tall. So if you find you have a hard time sitting up tall, I would definitely sit up onto a blanket. If you have any sciatica or disc issues, you'll stay upright or even lean back. Please don't fold forward. You'll be exacerbating your condition. Okay. So we're pressing the thighs down, flexing the feet so the toes and the knees point up toward the ceiling. And then let's initially just get this pure hip hinge. So bringing one hand to the back of the head, doesn't matter which one. So the head's not going to drop at all. The head's going to stay in line with the rest of the spine. So just push a little bit the head into the hand as you fold forward. Chin is down. There's like clementine or small orange space between chin and chest. Just a light pressure of head and hand into each other. And then when you fold it as far as you would like, just bring that hand down. So we're keeping the chest lifted here. We're not rounding the spine. We're not dropping the head. We're basically keeping the sacrum and the back of the skull in the same plane. Knees can be bent here or pressing thighs down. So gaze is down at the ground. Make sure your sit bones stay down on the ground. For some of us, they're going to want to pop up. That's it. One more breath here. And then slowly and carefully rising back up, even if you didn't get far forward. Okay, we're going to let's come into tabletop. Okay, we're setting up for dolphin. I kind of do a little differently these days than I used to, or not necessarily always, but the way I'm teaching it today. So the shoulders will stay stacked over the elbows rather than being back relative. So we're keeping this 90-degree angle. So elbows directly beneath the shoulders, spread the fingers, root down not just through the elbows, but also through the forearms, the inner wrists, and the hands. And then tuck toes under and lift your hips up. Just take a look, make sure your shoulders haven't drifted back relative to the elbows. Push the elbows into the ground as much as you can. Knees can be bent here. Some of you can walk your feet in a little bit. Keep lifting from your belly, lifting your hips up, up, up toward the ceiling. Head could just hang heavy here. So you can push the elbows away even more, push the floor even more. And then ease the knees down into child's pose. Okay, rising back up. Almost the same setup, just slightly different with the hands. Now hands more like headstand setup, but we're not going to do headstand. So the elbows are shoulder width apart. Interlace your fingers. And there's a gap between the wrists here. So I'm not bringing the hands all the way together. They're not all the way apart either. They're kind of in between. Okay, so elbows are beneath the shoulders. So now we're pressing, of course, the elbows, the forearms, and now like the outer wrists down. Try to keep the fingers soft. Okay, push, push. Before you even lift up off the knees, push the floor away with your elbows. Feel that lift between the shoulder blades. We want that. And then lift the knees up. Maybe walk the feet in a little bit. Toes can be bent. So we're lifting from the belly, from like the hip crease, so low, low belly, up, up, up. Let the head hang here. Trying to let the shoulders shift back relative to the elbows. Keep that stack. Okay, easing back down to child's pose. Breathe into your back. Breathe through your whole body. Okay, whenever you feel ready to move again, you can come on to our backs for a supported bridge. So you could use your bolster if you've got it, or a block. Block is fine here. Lying on your back. Try feet not underneath the knees, a little further away from the knees. And when you're ready, lift your hips up. You can peel up one vertebrae at a time, a little extra credit. And then slide your block underneath your sacrum. I'd go low or at most medium setting for today, personally. Sacrum on the block, it's below the lower back. Above the most fleshy part of the buttocks, kind of. Let's do that rib adjustment that we did beginning class, I think. So fingers on the front ribs, thumbs on the back ribs, and then kind of it's like a scooping action. So the front ribs draw down toward the waist, and the back ribs move more up toward the head. So it's lengthening. Hopefully it feels good. Should feel good. So let's bring the ribs down a little bit more. And then you can stay right here where you are if you like to do variation, legs on the ground straight or up, or arms more up overhead. Feel free. Tracking sensation. So really attuning to the subtle sensations as they arise. A few more breaths here. 3-dimensional breath. When you feel ready, press the feet into the floor, lift the hips, slide the block out, and articulate slowly, one vertebra at a time, to come down. If you have a bolster handy, you could place that underneath your thighs, or you could use a rolled blanket underneath your knees, or nothing at all, just you and your mat, or maybe not even the mat, in Shavasana. Setting yourself up for ease, for comfort, for warmth, for stillness. And let your bones glide down through layers of muscle and tissue in response to the pull of gravity. Nothing to do now, just rest. Coming back into the river of breath. Beginning to reawaken your body with some small movements first. And then when you feel ready, if you feel ready, gradually and gently rising up to a seat. Let's bring hands, palms together at heart center. May the benefits of our practice travel far and wide. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all beings be healthy and safe. May all beings be peaceful and at ease. And may all beings find freedom from suffering. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.